The Minister for Women and Child Development, Menka Gandhi, has written to Union Health Minister JP Nadda on the issue of unwarranted C-section surgeries done across the country. The move comes in after a petition was signed on change.org that has received over 1 lakh signatures by women who complain against various nursing homes as well as hospitals for pushing them towards the surgical operations instead of natural birth for monetary profit.
You know, cesareans can be life-saving, but it is not just being done for saving lives, it's also being done to make money. Cesarean sections, when it's commercialized, is not what we want. This petition is clearly targeting that commercialization. It is telling all hospitals that give us publicly what your individual institutional rates are as far as cesarean sections.
Cesareans should not be more than 10%. In this country, in some states, they've gone up to 58%. All it means is that the doctors are indulging in a racket to make money without having any consideration or respect for women's bodies. And to forcibly push them into cesareans just because you want to make more money is illegal in a way, and it's immoral, certainly. Every hospital put it on its board how many cesareans they've done this month. Every gynecologist lets us know. The medical council should be checking how many cesareans have been done by each gynecologist.
Now, if you are going to say that stop cesareans, then the maternal mortality and the neonatal mortality will increase. So we have to see the ratio of maternal mortality, neonatal mortality versus the cesarean rate. I personally feel leave it to the medical profession. Medical profession is regulated by the State Medical Council. Let it be seen by the State Medical Council and not by the public.
Well, that's a question we're asking this evening, and I'm opening up my phone lines right on top. The question we're asking is simply this. Should the medical profession at this point, specifically gynecologists, be regulated? As per Menka Gandhi's recommendations, the Union Ministry has asked that there be a set of circumstances. Only under these circumstances should doctors be allowed to recommend a C-section. Also, she has asked to name and shame the gynecologists with high rates of C-sections. Is that fair? Do you agree? That's the question we're asking this evening. You can pick up the phone and join our conversation. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back with our expert panel. Welcome back. You're watching The Urban Debate. I'm Faye D'Souza. Thank you for staying with us. The question that we're asking this evening, are doctors and gynecologists asking or ordering unnecessary C-section or cesarean section surgeries when they could be natural deliveries? Are the numbers telling us that unscrupulous surgeries, unnecessary surgeries are being ordered to dupe patients out of money? And in that case, do you believe right now, as a viewer, that this sort of practice should be, in fact, curtailed and regulated? This is where we are right now. The Union Minister for Women and Children, Menka Gandhi, has sent a note over to the Health Ministry asking them to look into this matter, asking them to put up a regulation that insists that all hospitals declare the number of C-sections that they're having in relation to the number of births and deliveries at their hospitals. She has also said that doctors who are found to be over-ordering or ordering a large number of C-sections should be named and shamed. And she's also asked the Health Ministry to put out a list of conditions under which and only under which C-sections should be ordered. Do you believe that is fair, and do you believe that is necessary? That's the question we're asking this evening. On the panel with me, Subarna Ghosh, the petitioner who brought forward the problem to the Ministry of Child and Women Welfare. Dr. Dhuru Shah is the Scientific Director of Gynac World. She's also the former president of FOXI, which is the Association of OBGYN in India. Dr. Puneet Bedi is a gynecologist at Apollo Hospital. Neha Chopra is a mom who has come in to share her story with us today. Professor Dr. Sanjeev Bagai is a vice chairman and director of Dwarka Manipal Hospital. And also in this conversation is Dr. Rekha Agarwal, consultant OBGYN at Leelavati Hospital. I want to welcome all of you and I want to thank you for setting aside time to be with us today. Swarna, I'm going to start with you. You were the one who put together the petition. Tell us what drove the petition and why do you believe that doctors are cheating their patients largely in the urban areas?
What drove the petition? It was the question that I have been trying to deal with for the past 17 years when I had to undergo a cesarean section. I have no clue because, I was just a couple of days...
What happened 17 years ago?
Well, there was no internet firstly, so my access to information I feel was even more curtailed at that point. And much before the due date, I was so-called due date, I was just said that, no, let's book the OT and let's get ready to go ahead. And I was asked to sign on an elective cesarean thing and I kept on questioning, why am I doing this? And the whole so-called counseling consisted of telling me about how a vaginal birth can cause brain damage. There might be all kinds of risks associated, as if the cesarean section was the most risk-free, the most modern, the most scientific option that was available. And I was, by the way, just having folic acid. There was absolutely no issue. And I was 25 years old at that point.
Okay.
So I still don't know why that happened. And then I started, talking to a lot of mothers. I moved cities from Kolkata to Bombay, and I met so many mothers who had similar stories to say.
But one of the arguments that doctors give us is that at that point of time, that is the safest thing to do for a child. A lot of times it's necessary, it's subjective to the patient, and sometimes patients ask for it. So is it fair, really, to blanket and say that all doctors are cheating patients, all doctors are not giving them information, not giving them the choice?
Of course not.
Right.
It would be outright silly to say that. How can I say that all doctors are cheating patients? I mean, there are fantastic doctors who would be definitely saving lives out there.
Okay.
And I'm not even saying that all cesarean sections are, they're completely wrong. What I'm talking about is the social context in which it is being applied. The way that cesarean sections these decisions are being made. There are certain conditions there are time constraints, there are issues with money, and on what basis are these? Are these completely medically defined decisions, or no other factors are playing a role in it?
So what is your demand right now from the ministry?
It's a simple thing. It's a transparency of data, of information, of informed consent. If I decide that this institution has a very high rate of cesarean section and it is not a referrals or a secondary unit, then I don't see why I should go there.
What has your research told you in terms of the numbers right now that you're seeing of the rate of C-sections in India?
Well, in Bombay, in Greater Mumbai, 200% increase in the last 5 years. That is
200% increase.
IIPS research scholars research is telling me.
200% increase. Dr. Dhiru Shah, thank you for joining us this evening. Do you agree that this might be a risk that India is running right now, specifically, and the data shows us, in urban India vis-a-vis rural India? Is there a risk that gynecologists are ordering or are asking for unnecessary C-section surgeries and procedures?
I don't know whether one could say whether it's unnecessary. I think when we deal with our patients, there is always a plan created for them. Right from the time we see them through the first trimester, they are constantly updated as to what's happening with their pregnancy, how they're doing with their own health. They are monitored very strictly, and at about 34 to 36 weeks, a discussion is held with the patient to tell them where we think we are. We could do a normal delivery, or we need to do a planned cesarean section. And we also guide them that through the labor, if at any point in time we do find that the baby is distressed, or there is a reason for us to do an emergency section, we would do it for the sake of the interest of the child and the mother. So I think when this kind of a planning is done right from the beginning, there should be absolutely no doubt as to why the doctor is doing a C-section, and therefore I don't see any reason why we would want to blame doctors for doing unnecessary cesarean. So
Dr. Shah,
if you've taken your patient into confidence, talk to them right from the beginning.
Dr. Shah, the responses that our reporter got from the Ministry of Child and Women Welfare were actually quite shocking. She said that obviously it's being done unscrupulously. Obviously doctors need to be, and I'm quoting her, she said, named and shamed. Hospitals need to be named and shamed for, for the rate at which C-sections are being ordered right now. And I just want to, for the benefit of the viewers at home and for this entire panel, I want to play out that interaction so we know where we're coming from right now. And the reason why this is serious enough to spend time talking about it is because a union minister has asked for this to be looked into. Let's just play out that interaction because some of the things she said deserve to be responded to.
Basically, cesarean section has to be seen with a different perspective. You cannot decide the rate on the basis of a hospital. It has to be a rate at the level of a whole city or the whole state or the whole country. WHO says average cesarean should be 10 to 15%, but that's for a global. That's not for India.
Normally, as things go, cesareans should not be more than 10%. In this country, in some states, they've gone up to 58%. All it means is that the doctors are indulging in a racket to make money without having any consideration or respect for women's bodies. A woman can't have more than 2 cesareans, and most of them don't need cesareans because this is a natural function. And to forcibly push them into cesareans just because you want to make more money is illegal in a way, and it's immoral, certainly. So you charge the woman more, you invade her body, and instead of a natural process, you cut her open, you give her stitches, you give her anesthesia. She takes weeks and weeks to recover while feeding the baby, and it weakens her body for more children if she should want them. It's not acceptable anymore. Unlike this government took action on stents, when it was found that 6,500 rupees worth of stent was being sold for 1,80,000, and the doctors were earning, we calculated, up to 7,000 crores a year. The cesarean, if you'll find, the amount of money being earned will roughly fall into the same area, because the difference is between 2,000 and 3,000 rupees and 50,000, 1 lakh, especially by the larger hospitals. So this has to be dealt with. So what we have done is we've asked the Health Ministry to issue an order that every hospital put it on its board how many cesareans they've done this month. Every gynecologist lets us know. The medical council should be checking how many cesareans have been done by each gynecologist. We've come across gynecologists who for 8 years have not done a natural birth. Now, should their license not be revoked? Certainly should.
Ma'am, commercialization of cesarean is also becoming common because sometimes the doctors tend to blame the mothers by saying that they are the ones who are opting for it, and because of that we are doing it.
No, if you explain something in a way that the mother takes an option which she thinks is simpler, then it's your fault. If you say, oh, if you go into labor, you will take 8 hours and then you'll suffer so much and blah, blah, blah. Or if you say, oh, we just, it's a nothing. You just get a tiny little slit and the baby comes out and then you live happily ever after. Then obviously the mother is coerced into something that she believes is a better option. But there's never a better option.
So when you've asked the Health Ministry, when are you expecting a decision on it?
Let's see. Now we'll have a round of trying to finalize what are the rules and what are the pressures that we're going to put to straighten out this terrible industry.
What measures are we going to put in to straighten out this terrible industry? I'm quoting the minister there. She's also said that the statistics obviously show us that this means only one thing. There is a racket in place to make money off patients. Why shouldn't these gynecologists have their licenses revoked? We should name and shame them. Dr. Shah, I'm going to come back to you now. What is your reaction now that you've heard what the minister had to say? She's called it a horrible industry. What's your reaction to that?
No, I think it's not fair, because I think we have to realize that today a C-section which is done is pretty safe, and it's almost as safe as doing a vaginal delivery. And I don't think we have any reason to feel that women are being charged more for a C-section, because as a matter of fact, the charges in Mumbai, I think most of the doctors who deliver patients in Mumbai charge the same, whether it's a normal delivery or whether it's a C-section. So I don't think one should put any kind of a implication to charging for a delivery. These are the nominal charges which a patient would be charged for whatever the doctor's fees are, and therefore we must remember that why do we have to focus on charges associated with a service? Now, a service is done by doctors, so many doctors doing free service, which I don't think is done by any other profession in this country. I think we are the ones who are offering the maximum amount of free services.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, as an organization, we have gone to the point of actually treating patients, helping MBBS doctors to learn how to do normal deliveries, forceps deliveries and C-sections.
All right, I want to bring in Subarna here because I know that she disagrees. Subarna, 2 points that were made. There isn't too much of a difference in the cost, at least in Mumbai, what Dr. Shah said between the C-section and a normal natural delivery. Secondly, she said that it's almost as safe. What's your response?
I don't know on what basis she's saying. She's a doctor. And I would rely on a lot of others out there to tell me, is it safe? Can you say that a cesarean section delivery is almost as safe as a vaginal delivery? Let us put them down.
Yeah, okay.
And see what are the risks.
Dr. Rekha Agarwal wants to come in. Dr. Rekha Agarwal, do you agree with Dr. Shah here? Just actually explain to our audience, who are all ordinary citizens, what are the risks of a C-section delivery right now? And do you believe it's the same risks as a natural delivery?
See, it is unfair to compare cesarean section risks with vaginal delivery because they are both done under different circumstances. You would do a vaginal delivery unless you cannot deliver the patient vaginally, you would do a cesarean. So you cannot say, oh, I will not go for a cesarean because vaginal delivery is safer. I would go for a cesarean because it is better in those circumstances for me, all right? So say I have a fetal distress, I have a breech presentation in a primary or any such indications, I don't have a choice. I have to do a cesarean. I cannot say, oh, because cesarean is higher risk, we would rather do a natural.
And Dr. Agarwal, quick question then, do you agree that the ministry's recommendation that there should actually be a regulated list of circumstances under which and only under which C-sections are recommended? Would that work?
If they can bring a comprehensive list, I don't think anyone can. Because it is such a dynamic process, obstetrics, that most of us obstetricians would rather not do deliveries, only do gynec work. Trust me, the day we can afford not to do obstetrics, we will stop doing obstetrics, all of us. It is a huge drain on our energies, yeah. But we are doing it because our patients want us to deliver them. So to say what this lady, I don't get her name,
Subarna Ghosh is the petitioner. Go ahead.
Yes, you were told that you were going to have a cesarean very early. What made you not go for a second opinion? At that time, you trusted your doctor, right?
Absolutely.
For some 9 months, your bondage with the doctor and whatever she said or he said, probably you trusted. And you did not go for a second opinion then. What was the reason you didn't take a second opinion?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Please give me that information, that what are the risks that are involved? Why was I made to sit down and listen to the possibilities of brain damage during vaginal birth? Do you do that with every patient without any risk? I don't think anybody would.
So what you're saying, Subarna, is you're saying you were coerced into a C-section?
I was definitely manipulated into it.
Okay, I also have Dr. S.S. Agarwal, who is the head of the Indian Medical Association, on the phone for a few minutes. Dr. Agarwal, do you agree that the Health Ministry should be regulating the circumstances under which C-sections are recommended and conducted?
The indications and need of the cesarean section at the time of when it requires is only judged by the treating doctor, because the circumstances and indications are different with the patient at all times, and what indications at that time require,
right?
Maybe there is broad guidelines, but the total
पर डॉक्टर अग्रवाल अभी जो हमारे साथ जो महिलाएं हैं उनका कहना है कि उनके डॉक्टरों ने उनको इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं दिया था, उन्हें ठीक से समझाया नहीं कि क्या क्या रिस्क है। इसका तो कुछ रेगुलेशन होनी चाहिए।
ऐसा है कि मैं आपको बहुत अच्छी तरह बताऊं कि जो बात ये कह रहे हैं वो केवल एक उपजी हुई बात कह रहे हैं, उसमें किसी भी प्रकार की सच्चाई नहीं हो सकती है। वो उस टाइम अगर पूछे सर्टेन सर्कमस्टेंसेस के अंदर सर्टेन डॉक्टर्स हर जगह ऐसे होते हैं जिन्होंने कुछ किया हो, लेकिन मैं ये बहुत ही विश्वास पूर्वक कह सकता हूं कि अगर उस टाइम जिस टाइम ये आवश्यकता है और जिस वक्त उन्होंने ये डिलीवरी हो रही थी तो वो पूछा होगा तो वो जरूर बताया होगा उन्होंने।
अच्छा, तो आपका कहना है डॉक्टर अग्रवाल की गलती अभी पेशेंट की है क्योंकि पेशेंट ने पूछा नहीं। डॉक्टर संजीव, प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर संजीव बगाई, एक मिनट
पूरी बात सुनिए।
हाँ, बताइए।
मैं की बता रहा हूँ।
That's a bad connection. We'll get back to Dr. Agarwal. Professor Dr. Sanjeev Bagai is Vice Chairman and Director at the Dwarka Manipal Hospital. Professor Dr. Bagai, do you believe that there should be a regulation brought in here, that there might be a misuse? And while the doctors on my panel right now are at the top of their field, you don't know that every gynecologist is following the procedure that you are following in your hospitals. It would be difficult to guarantee good behavior across the board, wouldn't it, Dr. Bagai?
Yeah, this is it's a tough question to answer. But what is important to understand is, let's not paint the complete medical fraternity with a black brush. And let's not paint all the obstetrician and gynecologists as being a terrible industry. I don't buy that idea. I don't agree with it. What is extremely important to understand for all the viewers and all our learned panelists with me here is that whatever decisions are taken by doctors, whatever procedures are done, be in obstetrics or gynecology or in any other line, are taking the best interests of the patient in mind. I think from a normal versus a cesarean debate, cesarean indications are well known. They are well known to obstetricians. They are well known even to MBBS doctors. So I don't think we need another body to put down regulations and guidelines as to what has to be done. Please understand, medicine is an extremely dynamic line. It's the condition of a patient can change from minute to minute, hour to hour. Institutionalized deliveries are monitored. I think the move in Bombay to have a rationalization of pricing between a normal and cesarean to keep it equivalent is fantastic. That doesn't happen in Delhi, and I would strongly urge that there should be a normal pricing of birthing as far as normal versus cesarean. I won't go into the differential pricing which different private hospitals are doing, but that's their prerogative. But keeping the ladies' health, keeping the ladies' wellness in mind is priority number one. Keeping a safe child coming out as a fetus into a newborn is number two. There are guidelines, and I don't think we need to recomplicate this. There is an increase in the incidence which has been reported, and the best way to do it is through technology. I think what I will actually suggest is all hospitals should put this on their website. In fact, internationally, a lot of doctors, it is mandatory for us to put a percentage in terms of procedures, the number of procedures, the mortality, the morbidity, let's say, for example, in transplant surgeries and so on. So we are absolutely open to transparency. But for an outsider to be telling a doctor what has to be done clinically, I think that will be very unfair on the medical community.
I also want to bring in Dr. Puneet Bedi. Dr. Puneet Bedi, I want to bring out these numbers for you. The World Health Organization norms prescribe, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me, that C-section deliveries should be 10 or 15% of the total number of deliveries in the country. Apparently, India is overshooting that number. Also, there is data from the year 2014 that points out that the private sector C-section rates went up 70%, whereas government hospitals stayed at about 20%. Would we be reading too deeply into these numbers, Doctor, to think that perhaps the private sector is, Dr. Bedi, it is asking for more surgeries than necessary?
Not at all. Not at all. It's been a problem for a very long time, both in government and private sector, that you reach for the knife a bit too early. Now, primarily the accusation is that doctors do it for money. Probably more often, once you have a largish practice, you do it for convenience. When we, for example, if you have a large practice and you do 10 deliveries in a month, you basically lose at least 10 nights sleep. While if you do 10 cesareans, you're not even late for your afternoon coffee. So it's a very complicated issue. If we get the audits, we can see it into, I have looked at it myself. Most of the cesareans, the so-called fetal distress cesareans, are done, let's say, 9 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the evening, which is, globally, most deliveries happen in the middle of the night. That is how the human body functions. Now, there are basic problems in training right now. A lot of students who are coming from private medical college, they have not even been exposed to busy labor rooms which conduct a lot of deliveries. And we have just not developed a network of delivery midwives, professionals who actually deliver. So actually it's a cesarean or normal delivery comes in over and above the day-to-day work of a gynecologist. So the cesareans rates are appalling, and people have been cutting away with it. There's been a long-term demand. It might surprise you, but there's already a regulation that we are supposed to declare our cesarean rates from the previous year or 10 years or whatever. And yes, there is a serious ethical, personal issue, and to say that scientifically that cesarean is as safe or safer than normal delivery is completely scientifically incorrect. There are serious implications of cesareans both on the personal health of the woman, emotion as well as bonding with the child, and long-term implications like chronic infections of the uterus, urinary tract infections, and God knows what. Now, I can list them all if you want, from small injuries to the baby to... Now, of course, cesarean section is a life-saving procedure. Of course, it was designed. But time and again, it's mentioned as some kind of a, nirvana to have a painless and safe delivery. It's not true. Like in the West, let's say in Sweden or Norway, in Nordic countries, the cesarean section between 50s and 90s went from 1 to 60% without any commensurate improvement in the neonatal outcome. So to say that if we have less cesareans, more babies would die is not scientific.
All right.
Of course we need cesareans, and sometimes we do take a decision too early. But
let me just take what you said back to Dr. Shah. Dr. Dhiral Shah, I want you to...
chooses a doctor.
Dr. Dhiral Shah, I want you to respond to a couple of things Dr. Bedi just said. First of all, he said the rates are appalling at this point. He also suggested that doctors are conducting cesareans so they don't lose sleep, so they don't have to stay late and they don't have to work late nights in the office. And then he said that to suggest that the safety or the risks are the same between the two procedures is actually unscientific. Please respond to that.
I don't agree, and I still say that if a cesarean is well done and if a normal delivery is well done with experts carrying out both the procedures, according to me, they are equally safe. Now, each one of them has their own complications. Like, say, for example, you have a vaginal delivery which is not well attended to. The patient could have fistulae, she could have tears going into the rectum, she could have problems with her bladder, she could have heavy bleeding from the episiotomy, from the tears. She could have so many other complications which could be even long-term in terms of she could have a pelvic floor dysfunction, she could have sexual problems later. So I'm not saying that we don't do vaginal deliveries because of that. We still prefer to do a vaginal delivery unless indicated, and if indicated, we do a C-section. Now, in the past, a C-section was done mainly to save the life of the child or to save the life of the mother. But today, with technology advancing and with so much more information available, so many more methods of determining that the baby is having a problem, we are able to detect distress in the baby much before clinically manifested. And therefore, today we are looking more at the quality of life rather than quantity of life. So looking at the situation of how we can get better quality babies born with better APGAR score, less complications, and not ending up into an ICU. So we have to take that call at that point of time, and I don't think it's fair to put a doctor under a situation to say that, okay, this is the guideline you're going to follow. And I think if we do that, that will be really wrong,
treatment
and wrong medical
complications after a vaginal birth.
I think the complications after a vaginal birth were very well put by her. It is very, very imperative that she also points out what are the risks of the cesarean birth, because a lot of people are listening to this program who will never get to know what are the risks, which was never mentioned during this conversation.
Right. SS Agarwal wants to come in as well. Dr. SS Agarwal, go ahead. Do you also agree that not enough information is being shared by doctors who are asking for these procedures?
Hello?
अग्रवाल जी, डॉक्टर साहब, क्या आप भी मानते हैं कि डॉक्टर्स को ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन देनी चाहिए पेशेंट्स को जब वो सिजेरियन की रिकमेंडेशन करते हैं?
इंफॉर्मेशन तो पूरी देनी चाहिए और वो देते भी हैं, लेकिन मैं ये बता रहा हूँ कि
लेकिन सर आप 100% कैसे मान सकते हो कि सारे डॉक्टर, जितने सारे देश में डॉक्टर्स हैं, वो सब इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहे हैं?
मैं सारे इंफॉर्मेशन जहाँ जो मानते हैं वो उसको ही तो दी जाती है ना। विदाउट मांगे तो कंसेंट ली जाती है, और कंसेंट सिजेरियन सेक्शन की भी ली जाती है। मेरा ये
अच्छा, तो आपका कहना है कि पेशेंट्स को मांगनी चाहिए इंफॉर्मेशन?
इंफॉर्मेशन तो मानते हैं उनको, क्योंकि जब सिजेरियन सेक्शन करते हैं तो निश्चित तौर के ऊपर डॉक्टर कंसेंट लेता है और उसी के बाद के अंदर सिजेरियन सेक्शन करता है।
ठीक है। Let me come back to you. Dr. Saab, एक minute. Neha Chopra is with us in the studio who wants to share her story with us. Neha Chopra, tell us, were you, in your experience, were you given as much information as you thought you needed? Were you able to make a decision when you signed the forms? And Dr. Agarwal basically says that if you're signing the consent forms, then it is your right to ask for the information and only sign those forms. So were you given information before you signed the forms?
I want to begin by saying that every woman wants to be the author of her own birth story. I had a healthy and a happy pregnancy. I believed in the wisdom of my doctors and my own womb. But at 40 weeks, my womb was given an eviction notice.
What does that mean?
It just simply means that I had no maternal distress, I had no fetal distress, there was just no need. Just because I crossed my due date and because it was a plus size, complication-free pregnancy, I was still brainwashed by people and practitioners alike. And this is not one opinion, this is 2, 3 opinions. That I was made to undergo a C-section, an elective C-section, manipulated, as Subarna said. And I feel guilty of making a misinformed choice, but I also feel robbed of the opportunity to know my rights and to know my risks. This whole normalization of C-section and the widening information gap is a very disturbing trend.
What do you mean by brainwashed?
Brainwash simply means, like the doctor mentioned, that you have to ask for it. Actually, no. You're supposed to be told by the doctor. Like I said, you need to know your rights in childbirth as well as the risks. So when, we're just informed that it's a major abdominal surgery. It's the only scar and the incision which gets, violated again if you're going to have the second birth. So for a first-time mother, a C-section is going to raise the risks later on in life. Okay. And I also want to add...
Were you told those risks at all? You were not told those risks?
And I also want to add that, I deserved, as a plus-size mom, I took care of my health, I exercised, I ate right, I did everything the doctors wanted me to do. And yet I was constantly told throughout my pregnancy that, whatever you're doing, you will still have a C-section. So it's not just a sudden brainwashing, it's a gradual, setting up the stage for it. I just have to add this, that what we women are doing today is asking for transparency, for accountability, and for restoring this autonomy over our own bodies.
Okay.
Is that too much to ask?
Let's get responses to what you said. And I want to go straight back to Dr. SS Agarwal, who said that patients should ask for information. Dr. Agarwal, Dr. साहब, आपने सुना अभी कि नेहा चोपड़ा ने क्या कहा कि उनको इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं दी गई, उन्होंने 2-3 डॉक्टर्स के पास गए और उनका कहना है कि उनको ब्रेन वॉश किया गया. आपका क्या रिस्पॉन्स है?
मेरा टोटली रेस्पॉन्स है कि ब्रेन वॉश नाम की ये चीज नहीं हो सकती है, और ब्रेन वॉश एक करेगा, सारे डॉक्टर करेंगे क्या? केवल एक सोल क्राइटेरिया होता है कि किस प्रकार से सेफ मदर हुए. उन्होंने कहा ओवर टाइम होने के बाद में थ्रेट टू द मदर एंड थ्रेट टू द लाइफ ऑफ बॉय बेबी दोनों के होता है. ओवर टर्म होते ही सिजेरियन सेक्शन सी सेक्शन एक इंडिकेशन होता है कि किसी भी तरीके से बेबी को बाहर लाया जाए और मदर भी सेफ रहे, बेबी भी सेफ रहे। अगर ओवर टर्म हो जाती है तो उसके अंदर वन ऑफ द इंडिकेशन इज सी सेक्शन।
Right. I want to bring in the rest of the doctors on the panel. Dr. Bagai, you just heard what Neha Chopra said, and Dr. Bedi, I'll come to you as well. But Dr. Bagai, first to you, do you believe? And there's a very fine line here between not being given information and patients saying they were coerced into a particular surgery. How will anybody, including a regulator or the health ministry, be able to tell the difference between the two cases?
I think we won't go on this debate into the clinical indications and complications of one procedure versus another, because it's beyond the purview of this debate.
Yes, it
but
is.
focusing on a couple of important issues, I think patient rights are a must. All medical establishments, hospitals, doctors respect and honor patients' rights. In fact, all accredited hospitals even have a charter of the patient's rights on every hospital floor. It's printed, it's on the wall. I think sharing information with patients is mandatory. There are specific reasons why certain clinical decisions are done. I think the overall issue comes on faith. We must not break the link and faith and the bond between a doctor and a patient relationship. That's the basis of our practice. That's the basis of saving lives. There are very, very small, minute decisions which are taken on clinical indications. It's beyond the purview of this program to actually explain to viewers.
Actually, Dr. Bagai, just answer this question for me. Wait, one second. Just answer this question for me, sir.
Seek information. Information, whatever is required.
Dr. Bagai, one thing. We won't get into the details. I just want to get into the data. And the data, like I said, the World Health Organization said the norm should be 10 to 15%. The National Family Health Survey 2015-16 says C-sections, Telangana, 75% of deliveries in private hospitals. West Bengal, 70% of deliveries in private hospitals. Rajasthan is 23%. Tripura is 74%, Tamil Nadu is 34%. Now, why would the numbers vary so drastically from state to state? And why would some states be so far away from the WHO recommendations of where the numbers should be? Now, I'm not saying that we should get into the details of why doctors make decisions, but do you think the data is telling us a story that we're refusing to look at this point?
Yeah, I'm sure there is a story. I'm not running away from the fact that the incidence of cesarean sections have increased. I have the data right in front of me. I won't read that out because it's in public domain. If you search it on Google, you'll get all the information. But again, I'm stressing, I think the doctor must honor the patient's right. The patients have a free will to ask n amount of questions, 100-odd questions at any given point of time, and it is our duty to address them. I think it is important to take decisions clinically which are in the best interest of the patient.
Right.
I myself may have attended more than thousands and thousands of deliveries with really, really good obstetricians. And I have seen obstetricians in my own life sit for hours over nights with the patient, holding the hand, checking through various tests, the fetal well-being, the maternal well-being, and conducted normal deliveries. My firm request with folded hands is do not paint all specialists in a particular line with the same brush. The medical professionals are doing a really good job. There would be aberrations. I'm not against defending everyone. There would be aberrations, but clinical decisions leave to the specialists.
All right, clinical decisions leave to the specialists. Doctors should have the ability to make decisions when decisions needed to be made within a certain time frame. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll come back with your phone calls on whether you believe there should be more regulations and norms on C-sections and the doctors who recommend them. That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching The Urban Debate. I'm Faye D'Souza. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about a possible regulation, and the reason why we're talking about this is because Maneka Gandhi, the Union Minister for Women and Child Welfare, has written to the Health Ministry and asked them to look into the matter of the rising number of caesarean sections being conducted at private hospitals. She has alleged on camera that this could mean only one thing, that there is a racket to make money, and a lot of these doctors who are asking for unnecessary C-section should have their licenses revoked. She's also gone on to say these hospitals and doctors should be named and shamed. Ravi Nair is on the phone line right now with us. Ravi, go ahead. You're on the show.
Good evening, Faye.
Good evening.
I'd like to say one thing. Three things which comes into my mind is the government should bring in some sort of a regulation. If I believe what my wife told me some time ago was 2 months earlier, you get to know that it's going to be a cesarean. That's what, as a common layman, I can think of. Why not a letter? Why not that message goes across to IMA, MCI, or any other hospital association, which indicates that this person is going to have a cesarean. Let that be informed to them, and they give an idea as to whether the cesarean has to go in or not.
Right.
Second thing is that the hospitals should carry a full computerized detail of 60 to 70 cases. That's the number of deliveries which must have taken place in the last 1 month, with full detail of the lady's name, age.
No, but wouldn't that, hang on, Ravi Nair, that would completely violate the patient's confidentiality. As any patient right now wouldn't want their data to be shared with with anyone. I think that suggestion would not work. I'm sorry. I want to go over to Dr. Puneet Bedi. Dr. Bedi, it comes back to the same thing. How do you regulate now? While the union minister has written to another union minister saying that please look into this, is it possible at all to regulate this? Because let's be fair, it's a question of life and death. Doctors should be given that flexibility to make those decisions.
Let's come back. We are not reinventing the wheel here. What happens is that when the cesarean rates go up, the whole unit is scrutinized. That is why the request is only to make the section rates transparent and known. Not if there are doctors, for example, if I am a consumer, my wife or my sister needs a surgery, I know which hospital has 90% and which has 20% or 10% cesarean rate, so that I can choose my doctor. Right now, people go by a big name or cost and things like that. The second question is, can we regulate each cesarean? No, that is not the point of regulation. Regulation is only at that level of audits. When you audit, for example, in UK currently, if you exceed what is considered quality care level of cesarean section, your whole unit is shut down pending inquiry. You have to justify why your unit has more than the next hospital next door. So the current is, let us first acknowledge that there is a absolutely appalling level of cesarean section, especially in private practice, and those in even government who are trying to build large numbers before they go into private practice. And once it comes to private practice, people will, very large practices have very large cesarean rates, and they are definitely compromising on the typical the clinical reasons for doing so, right from ridiculous reasons like Jyotish, from moon and sun and stars, to the day of the week or whatever. Now, issue is, right now everybody is getting away with it because we have never really been taken to the courts. Now, if in the
Dr.
court
Bedi, how often do you get a request from a patient asking you to conduct a C-section on a specific day because they consider it auspicious?
All the time. It's ridiculous, but I have the right to choose not to cater to that request. And in the court, suppose one of these cases, we all know their complications and serious complications. It's a major surgery. You can have excessive bleeding. God knows all the things I can list. And this same patient or her family takes me to court. And the court asks me, why did you say there? I'm just saying it for the protection of doctors.
Okay.
They cannot take this protection that the patient wanted it on a particular day or time, so I did a cesarean. So please be very clear. A second fair, time and again it's being said that it somehow makes the baby or the mother safer. No, that is not true. Of course, in specific cases it does. And the greatest disadvantage of cesareans, once we accept this as normal, as this lady was saying, Neha, what happens is they keep moving the date earlier. And right now the commonest cause of perinatal mortality and morbidity is iatrogenic prematurity. That means doctor caused prematurity. You pull the baby out before its time, for whatever reasons. Some ridiculous reasons you hear from patients these days, like a cord around the neck, which is not written in any book on earth. Baby is not breathing through the throat.
Let me just. I see. Like pointed out by Dr. Bagai, our audience is not going to be able to understand the specific cases that we're talking about. But Dr. Shah, this was a very good point made by Dr. Bedi, which is exactly, let's just go with the data. If the data shows that the number of C-sections in a particular hospital hospital or nursing home has shot past the norm, then there has to be an investigation. That seems like a fair ask if we just go with the data. Will that be a good way to go? Is there any reason why that sort of regulation wouldn't work, Dr. Shah? And I'll come back to you, Dr. Agarwal. Dr. Shah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, in any good institution, an audit always is taken by the dean of the hospital or the person who's heading the institution, and they tend to compare the cesarean section rates between the different units which exist. And if there is a particular unit who's got a C-section rate much higher than the others, then automatically that unit is called in and asked as to why they are wanting to do more, why have they done more cesareans as compared to their colleagues in the same hospital with the same kind of clientele. Now this happens in a teaching hospital or in a unit where there are different kinds of patients and there is a department existing. If you see what happens in the private sector, each individual is on his own and each individual is doing what he thinks is right for the patient. That doctor may be seeing more of referral cases, they may be seeing more of high risk patients, they may be seeing different types of patients, and everyone has their own agenda. I totally agree with you that yes, to some extent there are some clinicians who do many more C-sections than the others. That just because of those very few people, I don't think we should take the whole medical fraternity or the gynec fraternity as doing unnecessary cesarean sections.
I have something to add to this. Nobody's blaming anybody. Nobody's painting anybody black.
Had they been very few, we would have a 70-80% cesarean rates.
What we're actually doing is just simply asking the data. Numbers never lie. And one of the doctors I was discussing with this is a Robson classification, wherein there's not just the numbers, but the classification, so that you can understand that if it's a tertiary hospital or a referral hospital, definitely the rates are going to be high. So it's not about painting black. It's just about accountability and transparency.
Right. I want to just bring in, Dr. Rekha Agarwal, who disagreed with the fact that if we use the data, Dr. Agarwal, and we find that the number of C-sections are shooting past the norm, does that not require some sort of investigation?
See, that is what the data has to be for a population, not for a particular hospital, like Dr. Durusha has also mentioned. Like if you compare the data of a tertiary hospital vis-a-vis a PHC, you will see that the deliveries, more normal deliveries are happening in the primary center than in the tertiary. For the simple reason, we are seeing more IVF pregnancies, more multiple pregnancies, more high-risk pregnancies, primaries who are having a pregnancy at about 40. So all these cases are more in the tertiary center, and therefore we have more cesareans in the tertiary center. So to say that, okay, XYZ hospital is doing more cesareans, we have to have an analysis of the data. You cannot compare A hospital to B hospital because you have to take the same clientele, and only then the figures can be compared. Just saying, oh, Delhi, this hospital is doing this many cesareans, so Bombay should be doing this, doesn't work like that, So it is unfair to actually cause this mistrust.
Right.
In India, we are fortunate that patients are still working with us. We are working with patients, and there's immense amount of faith and cordiality between the doctors and patients. Unlike what is happening in the Western countries, especially US. We don't want to reach there.
You don't want to get to that point. All right, that's a fair point. In fact, there's someone on the phone, and Shubharna, I'll come to you after that. Milan is on the phone from Mumbai. Milan, go ahead. You're on the show.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Actually, I wanted to ask a few questions regarding, there are two questions basically. First is, my sister last year had a delivery. Unfortunately, it was not successful. We had a delivery, and after a few minutes, C-section takes hardly 15 minutes of time for the baby to get delivered. And after delivery, the doctor said thumbs up and everything is fine. The kid was 3 kgs plus, 3.5 kgs plus. But after a few moments, after 45 minutes, some internal, there were some problem regarding...
Right. So there were some complications, right?
Natural complications, and doctor was really very honest with us. And I wanted to ask, because after 40 minutes of time, the doctor didn't had any life-saving equipment for the newborn baby. There are many hospitals, and there are many small scale hospitals. We need to, get the baby delivered in Mumbai, you can imagine at 7:30, 8 o'clock,
Right.
in that traffic,
Right.
we had to get the baby delivered because the baby had already suffered to heart arrest.
Okay.
And probably.
So what's your question, Milan? What's your question?
My question was, can we have a regulatory regarding the amount of equipment gynecologist should have, so that even after the C-section, if there are some complications, the basic life-saving equipments are there in big hospitals that every doctor should have.
Right, I'll take this question. I've run out of time. I have a minute to go. Dr. Bagai, I'll come to you with this. Should there be, and this is actually a question that should be across all hospitals, should there be some sort of regulation on the kind of equipment that's made available for patients, especially to newborns?
There is.
I think this is the most important discussion or part of the discussion of the full debate. I think there are regulations which are in place. I would say a vast majority of hospitals do comply with having the minimum amount of infrastructure, surgical equipment, and movable and immovable technology equipment in the hospitals. But the point I would like to stress is the end point of the delivery is the baby. And our aim is to have a normal, healthy child born without any immediate and long-term complications. What is being made mandatory and for a long time and should be enforced is a comprehensive neonatal and a pediatric unit where the deliveries are being conducted. I would like to stress, let's not take even a normal delivery as just by chance. There are complications which happen in newborns in most parts of the world, and I think the system should be geared up to manage them so that the baby remains healthy.
Right.
I think that's the important thing. A pediatrician should be a part of the team antenatally before the baby is born, should be introduced to the family and must be present at the time of delivery.
All right, unfortunately, we've run out of time on this conversation. I have to wrap it up, but we'll continue to keep an eye on it, and it's very interesting. Thank you all for watching, and our phone number stays active. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.